The Closing Loopholes Bill, tabled in Parliament today, aims to improve the working lives of around 67,000 Aussies.
Those workers have waited long enough. I ask the Parliament to come together and close the loopholes that undercut paying conditions this year.
There are two main proposed changes. First up, tough new wage theft laws, which would make it a criminal offence for employers to intentionally underpay their staff.
It has always been the case, as it should be, that if a worker steals from the till, it's a crime. But it should also be a crime if the employer deliberately steals from the worker.
This would come with harsh penalties, up to 10 years jail time and $7.8 million fines.
We do operate in one of the most complex industrial relations environments in the world. Where it's a genuine mistake and people are rectifying it, I don't think they should go to jail.
The other focus, so-called same job, same pay legal protections for labour hire workers, people recruited through third-party employment agencies.
Qantas, one big loophole, had basically gamed the system. On one plane, you could have flight attendants serving you the same thing and being paid radically different simply because of labour hire companies.
But peak business groups have labelled the reforms radical, saying they'll tank the economy.
It's bad policy, made even worse by the timing when we need a really productive nation for the world.
The issue here is that it will be harder to employ people. We expect as a result of this, the unemployment rate will certainly be higher in 12 months' time than it is now.
If passed, the new laws will kick in November 2024, and small businesses with fewer than 15 employees are exempt.
The fact that the government is signalling that it will need to exempt small businesses from many aspects of this legislation shows that it's actually bad for all business.
So will these reforms close the loopholes or open a pathway to economic ruin?
The loopholes that have been harming workers, families, employers and our community can be closed here with this bill. Let's get this done.
The Australian Chamber of Commerce has called for this bill to be blocked, and Chief Executive Andrew McKellar is with us to tell us why. Andrew, it's good to see you. There are many different parts of this bill, including making wage theft illegal. Is that not reasonable?
Well, it's great to be with you. Obviously, if someone is intentionally underpaying a member of staff, then obviously that is deeply problematic. It is unethical, it's fraud. It should be illegal. So I think, unfortunately, what the government has ignored in this situation is that in many, many cases, of course, where this is happening, it's completely inadvertent. It could be avoided. And one of the things that we would say the government should do is they should make it easier for businesses to comply. They can do this by simplifying the awards, the arrangements that many people are employed on, but they just haven't prioritised doing that. And as a result, the risk is that a lot of this will keep happening, including even in the Minister's Department in the past month. We saw a situation where there were 68 public servants there who were underpaid. At the end of the day, though, this is a Labor government. They are strongly connected with the union movement, with organised labour. A lot of the measures in this are on the union wish list.
So when you look at the legislation, I mean, do you fear that this change will send some businesses to the wall?
Oh, look, our big concern is it involves a lot of complexity. So whether you're in labour hire, if you're in the gig economy, it will make it much harder for many businesses to make that decision about taking on an extra employee.
Andrew, the reality is there's a lot of complexity already. That's a complaint that is often made. Couldn't you also make the argument that if an employer can't afford to pay someone properly and fairly, then there's a problem with their business model?
Well, of course, if you are going to employ someone, there are entitlements there. You have to pay those entitlements, whether it be in the award or an enterprise agreement. Of course, you must do that. But I think...
But aren't you making the argument that, hang on, if you can't do labour hire, if you can't get away with some of these other shortcuts, that the business is going to go to the wall? Isn't that in itself a problem?
Well, if you add costs to businesses and businesses are facing a situation where they have to pass that through to customers in an environment where we're already seeing small business insolvencies going up, we're already seeing people struggling in terms of meeting cost of living expenses, to add more to that complexity doesn't make any sense.
But if you genuinely care about the cost of living pressures that people are facing, surely you could also make the argument that they should be paid properly, they should be given permanency if they want that, or if they're doing the same job as someone else, they get paid the same.
Well, and unfortunately the government hasn't made the case, because what it's representing here really isn't the circumstances in most of those situations. You know, there's this sort of narrative about insecure work. People who are on casual employment arrangements, the government and unions have tried to say, well, that's insecure. It's not insecure in many cases, and in fact, in many cases, people do prefer to get an extra loading if they're working on a casual basis. It gives them more cash up front.
OK, Andrew, thanks for your time tonight.
Thanks very much.